BNB Kigali 89.7 FM.
James Maye Jr., thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
APR have been on a roll, 11 games unbeaten so far in the league. It's been a perfect start, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been great. I think that we got off to a good start. We had a really good training camp. We started back in December, so we've had quite a bit of time together. We had quite a few injuries, but I think that the injuries somewhat helped us because sometimes it's better to be able to focus on a smaller group of guys and continue to integrate guys and see how you could get the best out of them. So it's been thankfully for us, we had some close games, but we've been able to kind of pull it together. And I think now, as we're getting healthy, we just have a better chemistry as a group.
You mentioned injuries. There have been so much injuries on the team lately. What would you put that down to?
Sometimes it's just bad luck. We had DR landed on somebody's foot, Atobo landed on somebody's foot. Performance-wise, I think some of our guys that came in late. So sometimes you get in these games and they're tough games, and you make a reaction and you pull a muscle or different things like that. But I think our medical staff has been doing a great job of just treating everybody. I think as a group, our management has given us the freedom to be able to sit people and rest people where we need to. And it's been beneficial for us. I also think the national team, for 5 of our guys, and then 6 if you include DR with Maye, they also had to go play in a very, very tough tournament. All of that wear and tear on your body is just when you have good management around you that allows you to be able to rest guys, and you have a good team where you can rotate guys and help get guys healthy. I think it helps you a lot.
What do you say about Antino Jackson? There have been so much expectations from him when he came from Reg to APR.
Yeah.
He hasn't been playing. How has he been?
I think Antino's been great. I think the expectations come from the outside. He's doing what we expect from him. He gets in the paint where we need him to. He shares the ball. He leads the league in assists. I thought he's been really, really great so far, just being defensively on the ball as a point guard. He leads the league in steals. I think people are just used to seeing him score a ton of points. For us, he could score 20 today. He could score 10 tomorrow. For us, I think he brings to the table what the game needs, and I think he's been very good so far. Again, with injuries,
he's injured right now, yeah?
Yeah. He's had a little groin injury in the game. But he's a hard worker. He's fighting back. He's in the weight room every day. He's with our training staff every day. So we expect him back soon.
When you took over as APR coach in August 2024, the team was still reeling from their unexpected early exit in the BAL, while also getting ready for the playoffs. Wasn't that the most challenging moment to step in?
It is difficult because the mentality of guys was somewhat down and was still damaged a little bit from that. But I think coming in, I did a lot of studying of our group or the staff, and we just started from scratch. And what I mean by that is we got them just clean the slate, forget about the past, and just focus on some new things, some new goals that we made, a new style of play that we wanted, and just building a culture from the bottom and letting these guys feel like and understand that they're the core of it, where they have a lot of input in the energy that we bring and the style that we bring. And I think that's been great for us. So it was challenging, but sometimes you need to kind of get knocked down to get a new perspective on things and then grow from there.
Speaking of the culture, it seems like you are going to be here for long. You said you want to breed the culture here. Seems like you need to be here for long.
Yeah.
Since it's the first time you're coaching in Africa.
Yeah, I have a lot of passion for teaching the game of basketball. I have a lot of passion for helping it grow. I think that as a player, I was somebody that had to develop. I think that basketball here has to continue to develop, and I've been in development a long time with players. What I see here is a lot of energy from people that want to grow, they want to get better, they want to learn new things. They're okay breaking new barriers, and I love being a part of that. I think the energy here is great. I think my wife and kids are here, and they love the energy here. The people here are nice, and I think it's a great experience, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
You're glad to be part of it. That's awesome. That decision came when you reached here, or it was the plan since the start?
I think it came when I reached here. Of course, you could always talk about short-term, long-term goals and stuff, but coming here last year, getting a chance to play, getting a chance to get some of those pressures and get involved with the community and the basketball community anyway, I think was good. And then at the end of the season, because I came by myself the first time, my wife came over and we explored a little bit more of Rwanda. We traveled to Akagera and different places like that, and we really got involved and integrated with more people here, and I think that the energy was good. So once we went home and met as a family, obviously with a lot of support from our general manager and our team behind us, we believed it was the right decision.
We typically talk about players settling down and adapting, but how difficult was it for you to transition from the Venezuelan league to Rwandan league with a different playing style and fast experience as a coach in Africa?
It's always a challenge when you come over. I think for me, as a player, I got a chance to play on 6 continents out of 7. So getting a chance to play in Africa before playing the African Club Championships, which is now the BAL, I got to experience the style of play in Africa. I played quite a few players from Congo, quite a few players from Nigeria. And I know people that played in the BAL and played out in these countries. So speaking to them was a big plus for me, just hearing what they had to say. A lot of people that I've worked with in the NBA, Pops Mensa Bonsu, these people, they're African. They've done a lot in Africa and they've given me a lot of information. So coming here wasn't as challenging as people would think transitioning. Venezuela and Latin America, most guys are fast, most guys are athletic. Obviously, Africa, I think, is a higher or better canvas when it comes to athletic ability. But it's still basketball. It's still being creative. It's still doing a lot of evaluation, analyzing of what's going on, and being as tactical as possible.
APR's opponents, Reg and APR, you've been outsmarting them when it comes to titles. And what would you believe they are lacking, particularly since your involvement in the league?
You mean Reg and Patriots or just all the teams?
No, Reg and Patriots, because those are your biggest rivals, if I could say.
Be honest, I don't think they're lacking anything. I think those guys have been really, really competitive. I know both of the coach last year, Manuka and Ogo, I know them well. I've gotten to know them well. Ogo is a coach of the year in the BAL, so he obviously has a high title here. And then Manuka from Tasmania, he did a very strong job. Now he's in Tigers, but I think the young coach of Patriots now is doing a great job. It's a lot of national team players. They're very competitive. They come in with a solid game plan, and they have some players that have a lot of passion, a lot of heart, especially on the defensive end. So I wouldn't say they're lacking anything. I think sometimes it just comes down to the draw between who's going to have a better night. It comes down to the game planning and the strategy. And fortunately for us, we've been able to come out on top.
What has been your biggest challenge when you step in for the first time here?
The biggest challenge?
It can be technically or on the court, of course, or it can be outside the court.
It's definitely there's a shortage of basketball courts. The playing surfaces, we're practicing. You're not always practicing on the best wood. So physically, you have to be very careful on how you manage workload and the load of the players, because guys can get injured easily and can have the tendonitis and all the things that limit you as a basketball player. And then I also think that getting guys on a solid strength routine or routine to actually prevent injury and strengthen their bodies, because especially here in this league, guys are so athletically gifted that they haven't had to do much to maintain their bodies. But to get to that high level of play, it was a challenge to get guys to commit to eating the correct way, being dedicated to the weight room, and just being dedicated to all of the performance preventative measures that you can take that you have to take as a professional basketball player.
Most of your recent games, especially big games like against Patriots and Reg, you win it in the crunch. What is that spirit? Is it like a spirit you're bringing to the team? Is it a culture you're building here? What is it like?
I think for us, one is it's a culture of belief. We don't have a culture of fear. So in those
Because
big,
APR hasn't been the same since.
yeah, in those big moments, I mean, it's just being able to think and execute through the fire. It's not bending to the moments. It's not being scared of the pressure. I think it's just really continuing to think through the moments as you always do, and just being able to remove the outside noise. Our guys, we work on those things. We have guys that are able to execute it. Obviously, as a coaching staff, it's our job to put the right or correct players on the floor, depending on what's happening in the game in those moments. So that's the tactical side. But from the player side, our guys believe. They believe, whether we're up 20 or down 20, whether it's a 1-point game, we're up 1 or down 1 with a few seconds left in the game, we believe that we could pull it out. And again, we've been, lucky enough to come out on the upper hand on a lot of those.
Does your relationship with the players play any role in that?
Definitely.
Like off the court even?
Yeah, our players, we have a tight group. We have guys that love to play video games. They play video games together. We do outings.
Are you involved too?
Huh?
You involved too?
Yeah, they don't want to play me in the video games. I'm not a huge video game head, but I could play a little bit.
I've seen Hori saying he's the best at it.
Yeah, Nori's a big time gamer. If they had like an NBA 2K game here, like a team,
and if you can't play, he can't give you.
Yeah, and you have to give those. That's the other thing. You have to give guys freedom to be themselves. That's what we do. We talk about those things on and off the court. We laugh about it. We can go eat together and we could talk trash. And I think that relationship really, really helps us, because in the game, even as a coach, right, you're not seeing everything. Players are going to see stuff, and being willing, and I'm an open platform, just being willing to accept that feedback from the players and their insight as well. Even though I played the game, I'm still standing outside the court when they're standing inside the court. So being collaborative on that stuff with your players, I think, is really important. And our guys see the value in that, as well as our staff. And I think that's what allows us to be able to collaborate together the way we do.
What do you make of Rwandan players, local players? Because we are seeing now a couple more foreigners coming to play in the league, especially Americans, overseas players. There is like a rising number of players coming overseas to play in this league, which can impact local players. Do you think Rwandan players have a good level? What do you think of them?
I think Rwandan players have a good level. I think there still lacks a level of development, whether it's having enough professionals in development to do it, or it may be the facilities, but those challenges, I think, is what slows it down. But Rwandan players, you have some players that are long, some athletic, fast players, some talented players, some high-level defenders. What I've seen in the league, a lot of players in this league can really, really play defense. And I think it's continuing to have the skill and the fundamentals and stuff. I think it's building that can really help the basketball here. But I think, again, if you're taking like a blank canvas, I think Rwanda is a very, very good place to start.
Who has impressed you a lot from Rwandans?
In the league?
Yeah, in the league.
Who? I mean, quite a few players. Who? And I'm trying to think of true Rwandans. There's a lot of Canadians coming in. There's Belgians coming in.
Yeah. Like who would get like your shout?
I like a lot of these guys. I like all of the national team guys. I think all the national team guys are pretty good. Some lack height, but what they lack in height, they don't lack in heart. They play hard. I think the national team coach has done a good job with them, and congratulations to them for qualifying for Angola. But there's a lot of young players. We have one in Chris, young player, blank canvas, 6'9", athletic, slim. Again, finding somebody to continue to build. Osborne, another type. Bruno Schema, he's from, coming from Belgium, but again, another young player, rising player. Sano, that was a reg last year, and then there's Juru and some of these other guys that's on the U19 or U18 team that I think are really, really good. Sean, he's coming to practice. So we've been I've been around seeing a lot of the young talent, and I think it's a pretty good level. Wilson, of course. Showbiz. He brings that street ball aspect to basketball that I like, a little bit of showmanship, and attacking the paint. But as I said, I think all of these guys are growing in different categories, and it's going to really impact basketball here in Rwanda. I think that's why the Americans and more imports are coming to the league, because the league is becoming more challenging. So that's actually a sign of respect when more people are urging to come to your league. So.
I've started with your 11 unbeaten run in the league. Speaking of that, don't you think you are playing against underdogs, given that your team APR have a squad depth compared to other teams?
Underdogs? I wouldn't.
Because you have like match qualities compared to other teams.
Yeah. I mean, we have some talented players. I wouldn't necessarily call them underdogs. I do believe that for us, the way we look at it is, we always look at just where we are and where we need to be. We don't necessarily look at if a team is an underdog or if we're better than a team. We just look at, we know that we can continue to be better. We can continue to play at a much higher level than where we are. So we focus on ourselves more and just being the best team that we could possibly be each and every day that we go on the court. We don't look at the other teams as underdogs. We just look at them all as equal opponents. You know, all of the teams in this league come in and they play very, very hard. They play physical. They play defense. They run fast. We just always have to make sure that we're the best version of ourselves every day that we get on the court.
Do you reckon those teams in the league can give you a significant competition that would help you as you prepare for the BAL?
Yeah, every game is a learning experience. Every team is bringing something different. Like I said, we have a lot of aspects from the outside. People might not see it because they feel like we just have this talent, but we have a lot of areas that we've grown in and a lot of other areas that we're still lacking. And different teams in the league, when they bring different things to the table, it gives us an opportunity to work on certain things. You know, some players are very dominant with one player, like Doumbia, right? Guarding somebody like him is going to be tough no matter what kind of team you have, you know. And then you have a very good defensive team in Patriots that has very, very good rotations. Tiger had very, very good rotations or rim protection. So there's always for us areas that we have to be good in. And the other thing about the BAL is every night is somebody else. So you have to be able to adapt on the fly. So the fact that right now for us, we're playing a lot of games close together and the teams are dynamically different, it allows us, again, to adjust each night and see how fast we can adjust to play a winning style of basketball for that night.
They say APR perform better when they're in a domestic league, but when it comes to a continental league like a BAL, they choked. What do you make of that?
It depends with people, you know. Some people are gonna say the best things about. Some people are gonna love you. Some people are gonna hate you. That's how it is. The passion of basketball brings that.
That's why I asked you. Don't you think that you're playing against underdogs in the league that can give you a better competition?
Yeah, but I don't want to base it on like what happened last year. Last year there were injuries. There were multiple reasons why the team didn't have success last year. I obviously don't know all of the reasons because I wasn't here. All I could do is look at again what we want to accomplish as a team, the level that I believe we could play at, the level our staff and our management believe we could play at, and it's just setting that goal and that process to get there. But I wouldn't say choked. You know, we're just going to be prepared as possible. I saw an ESPN write-up today that they don't expect us to get out the group phase, which is, you know, that's fine. We set our own expectations for ourselves. We plan on coming out and playing, you know, giving Rwanda the best possible showing that we can when it comes to the conference in May.
You weren't there apparently, but what would you think would be done to prevent that shocking exit to happen or to happen again?
Consistency from one part.
For this time, talking for this BA season 5, what do you think would be done so that can't be happen again?
So that we can't get knocked out again?
Yeah, the knockout stages. Because APR was the first Rwandan side to fail to reach knockout stages.
Yeah. Again, for us, I think it comes down to execution. It comes down to like the speed of play and You know, like I said, last year, from what I've seen, we weren't fluid enough. We weren't dynamic enough. For us, one thing you'll see with us this year in any game is that it could be any given player that could score 20 points on any given night. We're playing more styles of play than what we played in the past. We're playing faster than what we've played in the past. And I think that these types of things will just give us a better chance at winning games, embracing our individual players' natural abilities in the game versus being stuck on a single style of play. I think it'll just give us more players to depend on in tight games. Everybody's not going to have a good game every night. You're playing 6 games in 9 days. You know, somebody plays 30 minutes today, can't play 30 minutes tomorrow. You just never know. So being as even as possible, and again, building all of our players up from the top player to the bottom player, even the players not going to BAL for us play a huge part in that, is just making sure that as a group, everybody's feeling the best they can. That allows them to bring as much of their individual talent as possible to the table. And once we do that, you know, and we get that chemistry as a group, I think, you know, it allows us to be explosive. And if we're explosive, then I think we could bring a good result.
What would you say about those new players, having a player like Jordan McRae, who featured in the NBA, and a seasoned player like Nobel Bungu? It raises expectations for APL ahead of the BAL, isn't it?
It definitely does. McRae, I coached him with the Wizards. He's a talented player, talented scorer. Nobel is a EuroLeague player. Both of these guys are very, very good. And I think it's their basketball IQ, their knowledge of the game helps us the most. Their leadership adds to it. You know, they've played in big games, they've played in big arenas, so that experience always assists. Like with younger guys, with like a Diarra, who's an NBA prospect himself, is, you know, giving them that leadership and showing them a different way of doing things, or maybe even just a more professional or sharper way of doing things, helps a younger group. So I think for us, we're just attempting to mix, to blend older players with younger players, more experience with less experience, and infuse into into the culture we want. So that's where I think those guys really move the needle for us, are having guys that have played on a high level and have performed at a high level can help us get into the BAL.
It won't be tough for you to decide who should remain on the team that we play BAL, since there are too many players with nearly equal caliber. You know, for instance, 6 players can play as point guards at APL. Isn't that a few? Yeah,
but some people look at that position based. We look at everything ability based. So we have a different scope of how you see things. You know, some people might see somebody playing a point guard, but as you watch the NBA and you look at guys like a Ben Simmons, you know, he's a point forward. You could do some of those things and take some of those qualities and put it in a different position. That's something that we've embraced here with the culture and our style of play. So I think what it gives us is flexibility. It gives us variety of lineups that we could play. And it just gives us matchup depth. So when you're going against certain players, you have 2-3 players that you could try to match up with this guy. And guys can cover multiple positions. So I think that's does it make it hard? Yes, it makes it hard. But we have a lot of blended talent that we could use. So it makes it easier when it comes down to how we want to put the group together.
Okay, James Maye, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
BNB Kigali 89.7 FM.